10,000 fearless on the move.
Let's go! Deep in the delta where the willows grow, in the soil stained by the blood of my ancestors. Punch bowl voices call out to my soul for justice. The wicked will reap what they've sown. Spirit of Aziz is back on the rise. Soldiers in the delta kept it alive. Time to stand up, take our place in the sun. Understand the time and what must be done.
10,000 fearless on the move. 10K fearless. This is it. 10K fearless on the move. Mississippi. Sip.
Gotta make a move and take control. Have something we can call our own. So shine your light, help the people see that now is the time for us to be free. And if you waiting on the pie in the sky, you better wake up fast. They told you a lie, cause big fields await the wide awake man. Elijah's got the master.
10,000 fearless on the move. 10K fearless. Mississippi. 10K fearless on the move. Mississippi. Sip. Injustice we've had enough. All of our divisions we're breaking up. Destiny has been calling us. The spirit of the Most High is guiding us.
See, the time is now. What you waiting on? Quit shooting your brothers. Put your gun down. Come on. They got a cage waiting for you if you keep that up. Early graves coming to you. From that, can't raise you up. Now, Sister Ida B and Fannie Lou, check them out and you'll know what to do. But if you really want your enemy to be alarmed, read the final call. Follow Farrakhan.
10,000 fearless on the move. 10K fearless. Mississippi. 10K fearless on the move. Mississippi. Sip. 10K fearless. 10K fearless on the move. 10K fearless on the move in Mississippi, Mississippi. 10,000 fearless on the move.
Well, assalamu alaikum, peace be unto you, and welcome back to the 10K Fearless Tri-State Podcast. I am, once again, your brother and friend, Abdul Shahid Muhammad, host of the 10K Fearless Tri-State Podcast. Well, we've been away for a while. I want to say to the Muslim community, Eid Mubarak. And we have just finished the 30-day fast and reading of the Holy Quran for the holy month of Ramadan. And it was a good one. So let me get right to it, brothers and sisters. Let me begin in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. I bear witness to the oneness of Almighty God, the oneness of his prophets, the oneness of the scriptures that were revealed through them to the whole of humanity. I bear witness that regardless to the land, label, or language we would choose to apply, there is but one God. We refer to him by the proper name, Allah, and that is certainly not to the exclusion of any other of the righteous names by which people of other faith traditions refer to the Supreme Creator. We know and understand as spiritually mature men and women that people of other faiths may call him by another name, such as our Christian family call him Jehovah. There are those that call him Jah. There are those who call him Yahweh, because God makes himself known according to the language and culture of the people amongst whom he raises his prophets, messengers, and warners. Please allow me to greet you once again and thankful and blessed to do so with the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. They mean may peace be unto you. Welcome, welcome, welcome back to the 10K Fearless Tri-State Podcast. I'm so happy to have you all on. I know we've been away for a while, but your brother took a little hiatus. If I were to characterize it like that, that's what it would be. And honestly, this endeavor of running and maintaining a podcast is can be a daunting task, specifically in the financial sense. Yes, it's time consuming, but financially speaking, it takes a few dollars. So going forward, we are going to be accepting donations for those who would like to support the 10K Fearless podcast to ensure that we maintain the frequency with which we come on and give information. We have a beautiful, beautiful program set up for you tonight. Our special guest will be Student Minister Kenneth Muhammad of Muhammad Mosque number 55's Student Prison Reform Ministry. We're going to be talking about Shelby County. Let me get the flyer up, man. I don't know why I can't think right. Criminal Justice Reform, excuse me. Shelby County Criminal Justice Reform. And I think this is going to be an eye-opening podcast tonight for those who may want to know more about it. But believe me, you want to know about criminal justice reform in Shelby County. I want to send some shouts out, and I'll do that after we do the groundwork that we always have done when we open our podcast. Of course, we want to get our axioms, is what I call them. And an axiom is a statement or proposition which is regarded as being established, accepted, or self-evidently true to serve as a premise or a starting point for further reasoning and arguments. Okay? And the axioms that I like to use are from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and really about three that I really love to use. And one in particular I'm going to stress tonight because as we look on the social landscape, we see a lot of drama, we see a lot of controversy, we are seeing the fall of prominent people. So there's one specifically that I really want to shine a light on from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that I really think would do and serve us well to reflect on and to internalize. So let me begin with the first one, where the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan writes these words. He says, "He who gives you the diameter of your knowledge prescribes for you the circumference of your activity," end quote. So there has always been those where we're concerned as Black people who want to be the narrative gurus of our lives and control the narrative and the flow of information coming to us that was codified, if you will, and documented in the words of one Senator Henry Berry of the Virginia House of Delegates, when he said these words, "We have as far as possible cut off all avenues whereby light may enter the mind of the slave." And he said those words in the wake of that was in 1832 when he said those words. And he said them in the wake of the 1831 uprising of our brother Nat Turner, who knew how to read. And when he read the scriptures, for every scripture that they gave him that supported slavery and our suffering, he found a countervailing scripture that said we should rise up against oppressors. So after that event in history, they realized we cannot allow light in the mind of the slave. And whether you want to believe it or not, the fact of the matter is that endeavor is still underway. They are still positioning themselves as the sentinels of the curtains of the land of Midian, that the Bible calls them, to keep light from coming to the mind of Black people in America. Real light, talking about the light of God, not just any old light or any old truth, but a specific kind of truth that will make us free, as Jesus said in the Bible. Second axiom from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan I give you is when he defined for us a slave, wherein he wrote, quote, "A slave is one whose power and authority is ruled over by another, and whose sphere of freedom is limited according to the wishes of his master." And we see the same old thing going on. There's only certain things that prominent ones among us are allowed to really speak on and elaborate on. And when we speak or operate outside of the sphere that they have provided for us or dictated to us, then we will see by way of their actions that now we want to keep that sphere of freedom limited according to our wishes. So there are certain issues that you simply cannot speak on, no matter how prominent you are amongst your people. And we have seen that over and over again. The last one from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, which is the one I wanted to give particular focus to in this day and time, brothers and sisters. And we would be well instructed to internalize this one and really, really think over it, okay? And this one, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says these words, and I've been seeing this reposted online, particularly in reference to what's happening to our brother Sean Combs, better known as P. Diddy. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan writes, quote, "When you see men fall, don't laugh, learn. Learn because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation, nor from the weakness that will cause us to stumble and fall. When you laugh at somebody else's fall, white or black, rich or poor, your enemy or your friend, you're laughing and opening a way up or opening a way for your own demise when you do that. Because to laugh and not learn, to make a mockery and not to understand is to make the same mistake yourself," end quote. Very, very powerful guidance from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I am hopeful that we will internalize that and really, really think over it before we decide to put our mouths on people who are experiencing difficulty in life. So there you have our axioms that have laid the groundwork. In about the next 5 minutes or so, I'm expecting to hear from my brother and friend, William Muhammad. We got brother Kenneth Muhammad in the wings, and he'll be coming on to you at about 7:30. We will hear from our brother, and he's going to tell us what's going on with Shelby County's criminal justice reform. And I think it's going to be very, very informative and interesting to you. So we're going to take a break like we always do at about this time. And we're going to be right back after these commercial announcements.
Taste the difference. Taste Supreme. Enjoy our 100% natural Supreme spring water with natural calcium and magnesium, but zero fluoride and zero chloride. Our bottles are BPA free. Order yours today. Call us at 800-573-8033. That's 800-573-8033. Or visit us online at www.supremespringwater.com. Live supreme. Be supreme. Drink supreme. Supreme Spring Water. 801 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard, Northwest, Atlanta, Georgia, 30314.
The Urban Indulgence Bath and Body Boutique. At Urban Indulgence, we pride ourselves on offering quality, effective skincare. Handcrafted with plant-based, skin-loving ingredients, our soaps and body butters will give you luxurious lather and ultimate moisture. Experience the Urban Indulgence at 3314 Poplar Avenue in Memphis, 3 blocks west of Poplar Plaza, or shop with us online at theurbanindulgence.com. theurbanindulgence.com.
worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
What's your source for truth in news reports?
Justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
Where do you turn for non-corporate driven news that's fair and balanced?
Don't shoot. Don't shoot. Don't shoot.
Subscribe to the Final Call News, your #1 free and independent news source that delivers hard-hitting national and international news coverage of today's political, economic, and social issues. To subscribe to local home delivery, call us at area code 662-252-8999. That's 662-252-8999. Visit our website at www.finalcall.com.
10,000 fearless on the move.
Well, brothers and sisters, I am back. We are back to the 10K Fearless Tri-State Podcast. I am your host, brother and friend, student, minister of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Abdul Shaheed Muhammad. Shouts out to my beloved brothers and sisters of the Holly Springs, Mississippi Study Group. So supportive and steadfast. One pound for pound, one of the heavy hitters of our great nation of Islam. Thank you all for your support. I see some of the believers are on. My ever-present sister Audrey Muhammad. I see my sister Marissa Muhammad. Hope those twins are doing well, dear queen. My brother Keith X is on, and others have come on. Thank you all so very, very much for taking time out of your evening to come in here. I know we've been gone a while, and people probably been wondering. I got some email from Podbean. Hey, man, what you going to do? Well, we just had to take a little time off during the month of Ramadan, which is a holy month. I like to try to keep as silent as I possibly can and just try to make that my spiritual reset for that month and get my spiritual refueling and recalibration, and until the next year, and maintain it, not just get on it and get off it, but get our spiritual recalibration for the month of Ramadan and hold it as long as we can until Ramadan, inshallah, rolls around again, and we are blessed to be among the living. We will, of course, engage in Ramadan once again. See my brother Kenneth Muhammad, he's sitting in the wings. We'll bring him on in about the next 12 minutes. In the meantime, I'm waiting to hear from my brother William Muhammad. He's going to give us the farm report. He's always done an excellent job. He's also going to give us the staple goods report. He'll probably call me because I know how that phone can be, Brother William. And Sister Marissa, I know you see him. Hold on. He just sent me a text message. He said, about to log on. He said he's about to log on. So we're going to give our brother a couple of minutes to come on, Brother William Muhammad. But as I was saying, he's going to give us the farm report, dear brothers and sisters, as well as he's going to give us information on how to order our staple goods. Ordering will begin April the 21st. You can order right through our brother at the Holly Springs, Mississippi Study Group. We're located at 165 North Memphis Street. They're in Holly Springs, Mississippi. So if you want some food to store up, and I strongly recommend that you put some things back. Don't be coming knocking around my door. I felt Brother Student Minister Ishmael 1,000% this past Sunday. I know in Islam we say, if I have a bowl of bean soup, half of it is my brother's. But the Messiah also came and taught all of the believers what foods to eat and what foods to store in our homes. So we should be about that business. I see my brother William on. I'm going to pull him in as a guest or host. And there he is, my brother William. Are you there, sir? Yes, sir. Hold on just a minute, my brother. Hold on. I see what this is. Okay. How about now? Say something again, Brother William.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Good, man. You're loud and clear. Let's give him a round of applause. All praises are due to Allah. Yeah, your volume is good tonight, my brother. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. All praise due to Allah. What about yourself?
I'm doing well, thanks to Allah. And speak loudly, brother, and right into that phone if you can, or if you have some headphones, speak as loudly as you can or directly into the phone. What you got for us this evening, brother? What's going on in the land of food and seeds and that kind of thing?
Well, yes, sir. I'm in the process now of trying to lock down some certified organic non-GMO seeds. Waiting on the brother to get back with me before the week is out. I told him that I need enough seeds for 400 to 500 foot long rows.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so he's having his wife to look into it. He should be contacting me back sometime this week. I may have to just remind him, but I'm supposed to hear from him before the week is out. Also, at the Kingdom Farm, you know, the weather's been kind of wet, so it's not allowing us to be able to get down in there in the bottoms and do what we need to do. But we had already had some things planted.
Mm-hmm.
We did about 100 tomato plants early, peppers, squash. Got about 300 to 400 cabbages, and some of them looking good, some of them not.
Uh-huh.
We got carrots, beets, and we having just a little bit problem with the carrots and beets coming.
Right.
We got anywhere from 500 to 1,000 onions planted.
Ooh, we're gonna have an onion sale, ain't we, brother? I'm not playing, man. I know I'm laughing, but hey.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love onions myself.
Yes, sir.
Those were what we planted early. We getting ready to do some for the summer. We're gonna do a late spring, early summer plant, and that's gonna be for the okra, string beans, squash, eggplants. Also, we got peppers that we planted as well, and we're gonna plant some more peppers, some more tomatoes. With the peppers, we're gonna have banana peppers, bell peppers, cayenne pepper. We're looking at broccoli, and it's a few other things that we're gonna be putting down. We might try some more cantaloupes,
yes,
watermelon, and also butternut squash.
Praise be to Allah. Look, man, that sounds great. Brother, I saw your video that you put online. You were with Brother Tony Jones of Chulahoma Farms, which is just less than 10 miles outside of Holly Springs. We visited, myself, Brother Najee, and some of the rest of us. Brother got a full-scale tractor. He's got a hoop house, a huge one out there, and he really wants to work with us. He made it clear. He said, man, I've been waiting on you all, and I saw you on the farm, on his farm, brother, and he looked as though he was laying some rows with his tractor. And when we last visited, brother, we prayed over the land and everything, brother, asked Allah to bless it and to bless him and his wife with success. And we will definitely keep tethered to that, brother, and that particular food source. So give us a report from what you experienced when you went there, brother. I saw the video, but tell us a little more.
Yes, sir. When he was, they had the tractor to put down the plastic, and he told me there was actually a mulching process that they do. And so what they do, and I always wondered about that, because when I would go out to Muhammad farms, I would see the plastic rows like that, and then I would see the plants in the middle of them coming up, as though the plants grew them. But what they do is that they put that down as mulch, and then they come back later, and there are two people they go and they take the seeds, they put the seeds in seed trays, and once the seeds start growing in the plants, they got a contraption that they put on the back of the tractor, and they actually take the plants out of the seed tray and put them down, plant them down as the tractor is going real slow. They plant them on the road.
Yes, sir. Brother William, I'm getting a lot of texts, man. Our audience is telling me that they can't hear you. I can hear you. You're a little low, but they are saying that they can't hear you. So let's do this, brother. If you would, hang up and call my direct line, if you would be so kind, because The next question I have for you is regarding the staple goods order, and I really want people to hear that part clearly. Okay, can you do that real quick, brother?
Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. We're gonna give our brother a minute. We're gonna let him get off, and he's gonna call us on my main line. So until he calls us on my main line, we're gonna keep things moving. There he is already. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
All right, 10K Fearless Tri-State audience. Can you all hear him loud and clear now? I'll type a one
Mic
in.
check, mic check. 1 2 1 2.
Your mic sounds nice.
Yes, sir.
You're a lot better, brother. You were. I could hear you, but I guess it wasn't loud enough. Somebody just said, my wife, as a matter of fact, she said much better, and Sister Audrey typed the number 1 as I requested. Okay, but say that again, brother, what you saw on Brother Tony Jones's farm, Chulahoma Farms.
Yes, sir. What he was doing when he was putting that plastic down, he said that's a way that they do mulching.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking that serves as a food source for the plants when they put them down, because like I said, I would go to Muhammad Farms and I would see the plastic down. I always wondered, what was it for and how did they do it?
Mm-hmm.
But you saw in the video how they do it, and the purpose of it, they put the seeds in the seed trays and then they grow them. And then once the seeds become plants, they got this machinery that they put behind the tractor.
Uh-huh.
And they sit on it, and as the tractor is going real slow down the road, they take those and they put the seeds down in the middle part of the plastic. So I'm thinking that that mulch provides nutrition for the plants.
Right. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, praise be to Allah. Everybody's saying that they can hear you now, brother. I sure appreciate my listening audience for keeping a brother on his toes and making sure that we are responsive to those who are listening. Now, brother, the last thing, we got about 4 more minutes before our main guest comes on. Once again, our spotlight is going to be our brother and friend. He's no stranger to you all. Brother Kenneth, Student Minister Kenneth Muhammad of Mosque 55, the Student Prison Reform Ministry. But lastly, Brother William, our staple goods ordering will begin April the 21st. Tell our audience what they can do if they want to get them some big bags of beans, rice, and all of the other goods that we have available. Could you share with the audience what they can get and how they can get it?
Yes, sir. There's a website, NOIMOA.org/MOA.org, in which they can go on this website and they can see a list of all the products for staple goods. And actually, Brother Shaheed, what I'm in the process of doing now is trying to make copies to go along with the Final Call newspaper. I also put the advertising on social media, and I'm asking the believers to also help in that process, because we're trying to get the public engaged in ordering staple goods, because we don't want to be the only ones having staple goods and our neighbors don't have them, and we didn't give them an opportunity to get them because they're going to be looking at us twisted, So,
Yeah. That's right.
But the ordering process starts on the 21st of April. And for those who may not know how they can do that, like I say, they can go to NOIMOA.org and look at that, or you can contact any of the people that who are in the Nation of Islam. Of course, we need to reach out to our people as well to try to get them involved, because sometimes I do get correspondence from different people who want to order things and they order through me.
Yes,
but that's a good thing that we have, and we need to be able to put food up, be able to store food, also to be able to can food that we can have,
right,
because we know that a famine is coming. When it's coming, we don't know, but from the looks of it, it's not far off.
I would certainly agree with that, brother. From the looks of it, it is definitely not far off. Brother William, we want to thank you, brother, once again for your assistance and your accurate reporting, and for being a part of this podcast. Of course, brother, you are always welcome to this platform. It ain't just got to be for the Farm Report. If you got something you need to report, brother, just simply give me a text, and we'll certainly bring you right on in, man, and let you inform our audience with information that is, real time and much needed. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, dear brother. May Allah bless you, and Eid Mubarak.
E. Kareem, thank you and likewise, brother.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Let's give our brother, Brother William Muhammad, a round of applause. We thank him for his reporting and keeping us informed. Now we're at that time. Let me give some shout outs. We're getting ready to bring our brother and friend, Brother Kenneth Muhammad, on. Got to stop that. Now, that's prayer time, you all see. I know y'all heard that. But hey, let me get some shout outs as we get ready to bring our main guest in. It is 7:30. Shouts out to our brother Kazim Muhammad down there in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And of course, we come up north to our brother student minister Abram Muhammad in Jackson, Mississippi, Mosque number 78. And coming on further up north to Greenville, Mississippi, student minister Larry Muhammad and believers there. And my brother and friend, Brother Bassel Muhammad, the coordinator there in Greenville, Mississippi. Come up a little further to Tupelo, you will run into our brother and friend Conway Muhammad and Brother James, the believers there that's working hard in the cause of Islam. And if you come just a little further north, maybe about 70 more miles, you'll land right there in Holly Springs, Mississippi, with myself and the believing communities of the Holly Springs, Mississippi Study Group 78A. So it's about that time. We're going to bring our brother and friend, the student minister Kenneth Muhammad, in if he's ready. I see him on the dashboard there. He just pressed there. He is. He's coming in. And we want to welcome our brother back to a platform that he is certainly not a stranger to. And we want him to inform us with what's going on with the Shelby County criminal justice reform. Brother Kenneth, are you there, sir?
Yes, sir. Brother Minister Shaheed, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Praise be to Allah. Our brother is here. Thanking Allah for him being here. Once again, my brother, assalamu alaikum, man. How you doing?
Wa alaikum salam, and the seasonal greetings of Eid Mubarak to you and all the listeners, my brother.
Yes, sir. Certainly, Eid Kareem. Man, let me first of all thank you for accepting the invitation to come and inform us about what's happening with Shelby County's criminal justice reform. I've been keeping my ear to the ground to some degree, listening at Conservative Talk Radio, and boy, they're in an uproar, and I know they're in an uproar over this. So I want to start first, Brother Kenneth. You're certainly not a stranger to this platform. If anybody that's been listening at any length of time, particularly from the beginning, we were once called Mississippi on the Move, and we changed that title to what is now the 10K Fearless Tri-State, because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan requested 10,000 men and women to go into the community and bring an end to the fratricidal conflict that we see happening. So I saw fit to rename it to that. But Brother Kenneth, would you please just reintroduce yourself at length to our listening audience for those that may have forgotten?
Yes, sir, brother. It's been a while. As you have introduced me, my name is Kenneth Muhammad. I am a former co-host of, we started off in Memphis at the SOS, Saving Ourselves. Mm-hmm. Then we evolved into Mississippi on the Move. And then now you're at the 10,000 Fearless. I'm the student prison reform minister at Memphis Mosque number 55 under the leadership of student minister Abdul Mutakir Muhammad. I work at the leisure and pleasure of our national student prison reform minister, the great Abdullah Muhammad, in the headquarters in Chicago, Illinois. I'm what they like to say, ex-felon or former inmate. I don't know what the terminology is, but I served nearly 26 years in the Tennessee Department of Correction, and I was released in July of 2018, and immediately one of the first people I saw upon my return was a brother by the name, you all know him now as Shaheed Muhammad. We effectively used to know him as Brother Andre. Yes. He was the prison minister, would come into the prison and bring a light in. And I just want to say, brother, from the very beginning, you've always been an aider and assister, and you've always did what you could and thought about the brothers on the inside. So from not just myself, but
all the other brothers that you have helped in Forest City or Northwest, Turner Center, some other places you visited. We want to thank you. And of course, you can't do what you do without the help and assistance of your beautiful wife, Sister Shahida Muhammad.
Yes.
So please give your family the greetings for me. As you said, I'm not a stranger. I cut my teeth with you, and I learned what I know about podcasting and doing live radio broadcasts from you. So I am eternally grateful and thankful to be on tonight to share whatever bit of information I can share with your listening audience.
Praise be to Allah, brother. Thank you. Thank you. And you have something to share for sure, brother. And thank you for that reintroduction. And he just gave a thumbnail sketch, but I'm always prayerful. I developed an affinity for this brother. And like I have always wanted from the prison reform ministry, I've met a lot of brilliant men in the belly of the beast, as it's called. And some of the best of our brothers and sisters are hidden away in the prison houses of the United States of America. Okay. So, Brother Kenneth, if you would, brother, tell us about what's going on, thumbnail sketch, and I get a few more detailed questions with regard to the Shelby County and criminal justice reform and the Vera Institute. Tell us about a little bit about it.
Well, Brother Shahid, the project started about a year ago as a partnership between the Shelby County.
Oh, I lost you, bro. Oh, there he is.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I apologize.
It's okay.
It was started about a year ago with the Shelby County's District Attorney's Office under leadership of District Attorney Steve Mulroy and the Vera Institute of Justice, which is located, there are four main locations, is Brooklyn, New York, New Orleans, Louisiana, Los Angeles, California, and of course, Washington, D.C. And the partnership was based upon one, transparency, and two, they wanted to give some real data, real information to District Attorney Mulroy in the hopes that it would help in his pursuit of coming up with some alternatives to incarceration. As you view in the Shelby County area, every day you got a news story dealing with the crime rates and different things. And of course, they were focusing on the increase in juvenile crime. So he was at his wit's end, basically, and looking for a way to substantiate some of the programs that he was trying to come in with. So this particular project entitled From Numbers to Narratives, which was displayed at the National Civil Rights Museum, and I think now is housed at the Benjamin Hooks Library on Poplar for about another week. Yeah. It just dealt with some hard data. The data came from the District Attorney's Office and also some information that we gathered from those who have been impacted and community residents. The community residents were interviewed by part of the local team. There was actually two teams, one here in Shelby County, Memphis, Tennessee, and another one in Fort Bend, Texas, which is right outside of Houston.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
The Shelby County team, I was blessed to work with some fantastic young people, Emmanuel Jordan, Pharaoh Chuna, and Miss Amia Johnson. Amia was fantastic. Part of her exhibit was some pictures, and she paralleled certain parts of Memphis, and you can see certain areas, and they're laid out beautifully with the photos. And it shows certain areas that have been gentrified and the differences of the services from the roads to some of the stores where you're able to shop. And we would be well served to go down to the Benjamin Hooks Library and look at it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I would certainly agree, brother, because I went and looked at it myself. I actually took some photos of the exhibit for the audience, those who are in Memphis or Shelby County, or even if you're in Holly Springs, if you come up this way within the next few days, stop by 3030 Poplar Avenue, I think is the address, the Benjamin Hooks Main Library here in Shelby County in Memphis, and go look at the exhibit. As soon as you enter, just keep walking straight past the escalators to the right, and you will see the exhibit there. Now, you mentioned the Vera Institute. How did you become involved with them, and what's your role, brother? Because you said you work with some of the people. What was your role, and who is the Vera Institute, and what was your role with them?
Well, my role, Brother Shahid, I was the lead community researcher here in Shelby County. And I basically act as a liaison for our group to the main offices in Brooklyn, New York. The Vera Institute is a nonprofit criminal justice organization, which has as a mission to develop better government institutions. They actually partner with government institutions and try to influence them with policies. Again, as I said, they have offices in New York, DC, LA, and New Orleans, and they're committed to diversity, inclusion, and trying to end mass incarceration. And they do that in a very various ways. The way that we were trying to do is basically come up with evidence-based things based on data, because the narrative about crime is out of control. You can't go outside your door. You're just waiting to get robbed. But the numbers nationally and locally do not reflect that. Is crime a problem? Well, certainly. However, there's many other factors that has to be addressed, and you can't incarcerate yourself out of the problem. And that's one of the things that was featured in the exhibit. One of the things, a sister by the name of Dure, she was one of the program data analysis. And then she did something called Reconstruction and the Black Codes, the history of race prosecution. And of course, it started in 1865. That's when Reconstruction started. And she just went through and highlighted some of the laws. But you would look at certain events that happened, because many people don't understand from 1865 to 1876, just barely 12 years out of slavery, blacks had built over 60 all-black towns.
That's right.
We had in ownership over 6 million acres of land. We had blacks in the Senate. We were moving at a rate that after nearly 400 years of chattel slavery, in 12 years, we were making tremendous progress. But we've learned this through our studies in the Nation of Islam. But this particular exhibit got to 1876, and we know that was an election year.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking, brother, when I looked at it.
Yes, and you had Samuel Tilden going against Rutherford B. Hayes, and it was deadlocked. And civil war was on the horizon, because it was a lot of problems. So there was a backroom deal. It's called the Compromise of 1877. That's not really talked about in the history books.
That's right.
But we learned this by being students under the master teacher, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
That's right.
Where they said they allowed Rutherford B. Hayes to be the president on condition that he removed the federal troops out of the South.
That's right.
Now, we know any advancement that we were able to make, we had to have the federal troops there to enforce the law. And when they were removed from the South, that left our brothers and sisters in the South at the mercy of citizens, the Ku Klux Klans, and they basically was put back into the horrific condition that they were in, just like that.
Man, I'm glad you lifted that, brother, because when I went and visited the exhibit, I noticed they stopped at 1876, and there was no mention of what is also called the Great Betrayal of the Negro, because the Emancipation Proclamation had just been passed in 1863, and Mr. Lincoln deployed federal troops into the South as the police force to enforce the laws, because laws are no good unless you have the ability to enforce them. So,
Correct.
and as you just mentioned, that compromise was a part of the compromise was to help industrialize the South, but the one that really ill affected us was the removal of those federal troops. So even though the law was on the books, there was nobody there to enforce it. So the Night Riders began, the Klan began, the convict leasing system began, and all of those things that marginalized us, and as you just articulated so well, brother, put us right back in the condition. Now, mass incarceration, I want to make this caveat, drop this caveat on the audience. A lot of people don't really understand that mass incarceration is not a new thing. It's as old as slavery itself, just about, because policing in America began as slave patrols. It was not to serve and protect. It was to recapture runaway slaves and to bring them back to the people that owned them. So policing as you see it today, it is only better simply because people of color were finally allowed. There was a time when the black police officer couldn't lock up white people in Memphis. You could only patrol Beale Street in Memphis if you was the black policeman. And if you were a white person committed a crime in this city, you had to go find a white officer to arrest them. So it wasn't until the civil rights movement that the presence of black people fighting for better conditions and better treatment that black officers or black people began to join police forces and bring a sense of consciousness to what was happening in departments, but still have a long way to go. But I was going to say some more, but I don't think I'm going to say that just yet. But brother, okay, you told us who the Vera Institute is and your role and your association with them. Now, the district attorney's office, I saw an article in the Memphian about what was going on. I kind of perused it, and who is the Vera Institute, and I looked up the Vera Institute and about them. But D.A. Mulroy made a very interesting comment, and let me see if I can find it real quick. I highlighted it, and I found a real interesting comment that you made that I think the audience really needs to hear what you says. Now, Mulroy said this. He said, quote, "Numbers alone can't tell the whole story." He's talking about the numbers because you said Vera Institute wanted to get some hard actual facts, some hard numbers as it relates to crime, punishment, and that kind of thing in Shelby County. But Mr. Mulroy said, quote, "Numbers alone can't tell the whole story," said Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy. He continues, "Because in order to understand the numbers, you have to have the human context, which means that you have to talk to people actually living the experience behind the numbers." I'd like to get your response to that, brother, that comment from Mr. Mulroy.
Well, when he said talk to people that's living the experience, it sort of was a tongue in cheek because those of us who lived that experience, and the sister I mentioned, Mia Johnson, she did a wonderful job interviewing people. And you could just, if you sat in on those interviews, and I was blessed to sit in on a few, you could feel the pain and anguish because you're caught up in something that you can never escape. You know, they would always use the term, I don't know if it's still a phrase, pay your debt to society. But once you're connected to the criminal legal system, it's a debt that's never fully paid because now you're paying because you can't live certain places. You can't get health insurance, life insurance. There are many things. Jobs are hard to come by when you have that, quote unquote, had to check that box of being a convicted felon. And so by him saying the numbers don't tell the story, that's true, but the narrative is very seldom heard. And if we had more people that have an avenue to tell their stories, I've been invited to do a few op-ed pieces or whatnot, but again, it's few and far between, Brother Shaheed. There's more to be done because, as you know, and there used to be one of the axioms that you used to always talk, you will quote Victor Hugo. I'm quite sure you always still probably use that.
Yes, sir.
That says, if a soul is left in darkness, sins will be committed.
Mm-hmm.
The guilty one is not he who commits the sin, according to Mr. Hugo, but it's the individual who created the darkness.
That's right. That's right.
And many of these systems, when they talk about systemic, meaning the system is already in place, and no matter if the president is white or black or Biden or Trump or whoever it is, it still runs the same. And what you saw with these numbers, and you look at the lead charges and the type of charges, and you will see that blacks were 5 times more likely to have a case filed against them as white people. But we don't want to deal with the racial aspect. And it looked at some of the cases, unlawful carry or possession of a weapon nearly 12 more times, domestic assault 5 times, evading arrest over 7 times, driving with the suspended counsel or revoked license nearly 10 times more. Now, you can't tell me that we're committing more of these particular offenses than whites, but we're getting charged more.
That's right.
And again, I was listening to a newly elected mayor, Young, and he was talking about doing some more of these traffic stops and things of that nature to try to combat crime and get guns off the street. But the data that we are presenting in one of the boards when it talks about traffic stops in Shelby County and subtitle being black in a car, go and look for it. Out of 100 stops, it says less than one ends up with a gun being found or retrieved or charged. So you are stopping all of these people with the pretext. That's why they call it pretextual stops.
Right.
Of doing one thing, but you end up doing something else. So when you stop them, you don't just say you didn't find a gun, you let them go. You find something to charge them with, 9 times out of 10, and then they become connected to the criminal legal system, whether by having a ticket and then paying the fees. Now you got to take off work to go to court. You sit in court 2-3 hours and get reset. You done lost a job. Now you can't afford to pay the fee. The fee keep going up. You end up getting locked up, and you see the problems.
You lose your job.
Yeah, you see the problems it creates.
Yeah.
And this is perpetually done in the black community. I remember, if I may,
yes, sir,
Minister,
please.
We also were with the district attorney's office, and we were working with the Justice Innovation Lab, and we was at the Peabody for about 4 or 5 days. And they were showing some of the disparities by race. And in one particular case, it was like 82 to 18%. And literally the district attorneys jumped up and was refuting the hard evidence that came from their own office. They said, that's not right. You're not including Bartlett. You're not including Millington, but instead of dealing with the numbers, the disparity, because I don't care if you include Bartlett, Millington, Arlington, you can go and get some of these other small counties. You're not going to close that gap. And when you look at it, it's the way that the black community and black people are being policed, and the more likelihood to be charged. Even with some of what they call the top count. You're being a police officer, you know what I mean. But many charges have lesser and included offenses.
Yes, sir.
For example, we were in New York. And here's the thing. No matter you're in Memphis, Shelby County, or whether you're in Fort Bend, Houston area, or you're in Brooklyn, New York, the numbers are the same percentage-wise. You see, 4 and 5 times more likely to be charged the top count. So you go from simple possession, which is a lesser included, to criminal possession with the intent to manufacture, distribute, and sell. That determination is made by the arresting officer, the one that does the charge.
That's right.
It's not based on no amount. It's based on how you feel about the person you're talking to. And those things, those racial disparities have to be addressed. And if they're not addressed, then we're going to just keep kicking the can down the road.
Yes, sir. Well, I can say definitively, brother, where what depends according to the statute and how the law reads, to be charged with a felony for, say, for instance, marijuana, you have to have 14.2 ounces for it to arise to the level of a felony. But in my experience, brother, that does come into play, what you just said, how they feel about the situation. And I know for a fact that happens, brother, not based on what's written in black and white. Because in every job, brother, you have some employees that don't do a good job or take their feelings into the job where policing is concerned. And police is no different. You got a certain segment of the employee or the workforce that are just not good employees. And we're not going to fool ourselves into believing that that's not true where law enforcement is concerned, especially in light of what we just saw a day ago with Rankin County, Mississippi, and what happened with the Goon Squad and them torturing those brothers down there for nearly 2 hours. And you can't, that kind of activity can't go on that level, what we saw in Rankin County. And somebody higher up the rank chain don't know what's going on. That sheriff down in Rankin County had to know what's going on. But the whole point of what I'm saying is, you, as you just stated, brother, that element is definitely out there. There are those that are officers that do things based on how they feel as opposed to what is written in the statute. But brother, look, man, this is some good information. And you talked about hard numbers. And I want to lift a quote that you made, brother, in the article. They quoted you in the Memphis as saying that you said, quote, you said, what I do not want to see is in the early 90s, lock them up and throw away the key. What is the effect, you're asking, of taking those fathers, husbands, brothers, uncles, mentors out of the community, which we know the number one resource is the human resource, and leaving those communities and those young people to basically raise themselves without any male influences, end quote. I thought that was that's a very important observation to make, because the truth of it, brother, mass incarceration is an intentional thing with black people and people of color. And one of the things that I've done, I can't say I tried. To me, as a police officer, it made no sense to prioritize traffic enforcement in a poor community when the biggest problem in that community is fratricidal conflict. That was my style of policing. Just like in policing, calls are prioritized based on the seriousness of the call. You don't put a traffic stop ahead of a shooting call. You answer the shooting call first, then the traffic stop will come. Well, as a officer policing a ward, if my problem in my ward, say, is burglaries or domestic fights and shootings, well, I don't have much time to be sitting around trying to stop people from running the stop sign and those kinds of things, although that is part of the job. But that is low on the priority. And what you said about, traffic enforcement in the black community, brother, is very heavy-handed. That's those numbers, the numbers don't lie. If you would, Brother Kenneth, man, I want to get to some of the numbers, and we're coming right up at the 8 o'clock hour, and we're going to take a break right at 8 o'clock to get some of these commercial announcements in. Brother, share with the audience some of the hard numbers that you all have come up with. I was looking at the graphic that you sent me, and if you would be so kind, brother, share with the audience some of the numbers that you think they need to know about.
Yes, sir, Brother Shaheed. Let me pull them up on the big screen on my computer. Just give me that.
Yes, sir. Uh-oh, I think you went away, my brother. Yeah, he went silent on us. You there, Brother Kenneth? Let me switch over and make sure everything's still moving along. Our audience, just bear with us, my brother. His
still able to hear me, brother?
Okay, there you are. Now you're back. Got you.
Okay. Under the title, An Overview of Prosecution in Shelby County, they talked about some of the lead charges. And again, the number one lead charges, over 100,000 cases are driving while licenses are canceled and suspended. That's the top count. Again, I touched on that. Domestic violence, there were over 3,600 cases, actually a 31% decrease. But in 2023, Blacks were nearly 4.5 times more likely to have a case of domestic violence filed against them than white people. You see, but a gun case, nearly 10 times more.
Wow.
To have that case filed. Again, the number one case is being traffic violation, what you would call minor. Now, one slide I want you to look at was the budget, and it's 2020. They said
Oh, we lost you again, brother.
Was 200. The budget in Memphis was $274 million, 500,000, nearly $275 million was the budget for policing.
Yes, sir.
And that was 38% of the city's budget. Now, we know that with crime, poverty plays a big role in it. So do we need all of those funds going directly? Do we need police? Certainly we do. However, poverty, lack of opportunity, the feeling of despair and hopelessness that permeates in our communities, all of these are contributing factors. Mental illness, these are things that has to be addressed before you can say, hey, we just need to lock them up. We need to, this person got in and got right back out. Well, the fact of the matter is, if a person's on bail, gets out, commits another crime, it's up to the judge to revoke his bond. If the judge reinstates it or whatnot, that has nothing to do with the police, that has nothing to do with the prosecution office. So there's a lot of bait and switch going on. I think those are relevant numbers that our people can look at. There's a slide that deals with your zip code and where you live, and it shows 38127, 24% of the people, reporting mental health or don't have what they need to get by on a day-to-day basis. And that's just one zip code, and it highlights there's maps of the city. Yes, and again, the sister Mia, she took pictures in different areas of the city, Whitehaven, downtown, North, South Memphis, Raleigh, and just did a contrast of what you see in predominantly Black communities and then what you see on the other side of town as far as resources, access to resources, even just roads, because you have to go out there and work,
yes, sir.
Brother Shaheed. If you not to drive too fast if you're in North or South Memphis, because it could be a pothole and you're going to lose a tire or the front end of your car,
Yes,
they shut down Germantown Parkway and refurbished the road, had it shut down, and within a week's time, had it done.
Yep.
Had it done, And these are just things we point out, and people say, oh, it don't have anything to do with race, but the numbers tell us that it does.
The numbers.
And these are numbers that we're coming up with. These are numbers that's coming out of the district attorney's office, and that's just going out and subjectively doing it. So at some point, we're going to have to address the disparities that is going on here, not just in Shelby County, but all over the United States, and get back to the root of these things. And that's why I love that first chart that Sister Dure put in, starting with Reconstruction, the end of slavery, and how it moved through Jim Crow and right up here to today, where I think it was last year that now President Biden signed in the Emmett Till anti-lynching law. Now, can you imagine? Ida B. Wells started that back in early 20th century, 1900 or something, and you just now passing a law that's
wow.
Saying you can't go around lynching anybody. I mean, just think of that.
Yeah, it took all of that time to realize that you needed to pass a law that is an anti-lynching law. So, brother, man, there's this really, in truth, Brother Kenneth, we can't get all of this in one sitting, because the root causes is the thing that we have to address. And on that display, brother, I found a quote by somebody that's written very, very small. I don't know if you noticed it, but it's on the display in the library, and I looked for it on it's on the one that you sent me. It's got some quotes around it, and it sounds like somebody, I can almost guess who made that quote. I could be wrong. I can almost guess who made that quote, and I want to lift that before we get off tonight. But at this time, my brother, we're going to take a quick break, everybody, and we're going to come back. And Brother Kenneth, I want to talk about some root causes and what can we do as a community, because whether they do something or not, we have to do something, because there are those in our community that take this kind of information being disseminated as taking the posture of a victim. And I don't want to play the victim role. I hear that crap and I really don't like it. But we'll be right back. We're going to take a break, family. We'll be back in a few moments. Stand by.
It's a pleasure to give my life just to live forever. He who weaponizes the blood of martyrs said, get your children ready for the slaughter. Blame the patriarchy, thank your fathers. But every racist devil had a racist mama. When strange fruit meets forbidden fruit, your hands up today, don't shoot. So say my name. Really can't afford this price of fame. Who knew the guy had a boomerang and he called it karma? She ain't never shied away from no drama. From 1555 to 1955, we watched it intensify. Some still believe the lies, cause niggas too scared to believe they eyes. My fear died in the Tallahatchie. Rose from the dead, can't catch me. Patriots say now to get back. Gave birth to the hit back. Graduated to the click clack. Black Panthers and the black Muslims, yeah, devil this that. Paid back as a Karen with a pimp slap. You don't wanna miss that. Got the weight of the world on my back, devil lift that.
It is a will, it is a way.
The Urban Indulgence Bath and Body Boutique. At Urban Indulgence, we pride ourselves on offering quality, effective skincare. Handcrafted with plant-based, skin-loving ingredients, our soaps and body butters will give you luxurious lather and ultimate moisture. Experience the Urban Indulgence at 3314 Poplar Avenue in Memphis, 3 blocks west of Poplar Plaza, or shop with us online at theurbanindulgence.com. theurbanindulgence.com.
Taste the difference. Taste Supreme. Enjoy our 100% natural Supreme spring water with natural calcium and magnesium, but zero fluoride and zero chloride. Our bottles are BPA free. Order yours today. Call us at 800-573-8033. That's 800-573-8033. Or visit us online at www.supremespringwater.com. Live supreme. Be supreme. Drink supreme. Supreme Spring Water. 801 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard, Northwest, Atlanta, Georgia, 30314.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button, or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
What's your source for truth in news reports?
Justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
Where do you turn for non-corporate driven news that's fair and balanced?
No shoot. No shoot.
Subscribe to the Final Call News, your #1 free and independent news source that delivers hard-hitting national and international news coverage of today's political, economic, and social issues. To subscribe to local home delivery, call us at area code 662-252-8999. That's 662-252-8999. Visit our website at www.finalcall.com.
10,000 feelings. Phyllis on the move.
Yes, dear brothers and sisters, we are back at the 10K Fearless Tri-State Podcast. Once again, I am your host, brother and friend, Abdul Shaheed Muhammad. Brothers and sisters, make sure you subscribe to the Final Call newspaper. Those of you who are in Holly Springs and Marshall County, we can deliver it to you now. Give us a call at 662-252-8999. And we're trying to get about 1,000 people, at least 1,000 people in Holly Springs and Marshall County to receive our news organ right to your door. We can deliver it to you. Call that number once again, 662-252-8999. Or you can drop us a line at the 10K Fearless Post Office Box 517, Holly Springs, Mississippi, 38635. You can even drop us an email, and that's also in support of this podcast. You can call that number. You can send information, donations to P.O. Box 517, Holly Springs, 38635, or you can send me an email at dremuhammad1 at gmail.com. That's DREMUHAMMAD, 1 at gmail.com. Okay. Make your checks and money orders payable to Muhammad Study Group 78, and put a note that it is a donation for the 10K Fearless Podcast, or specify that you want to subscribe to the Final Call newspaper. We will be getting a Cash App account to receive donations for this podcast, brothers and sisters, because we want to keep it going, and there's an expense associated with it, and we would appreciate any help. And before the end of this broadcast, I will be giving you that Cash App that you can send your donations to support the 10K Fearless Tri-State Podcast. We are a non-profit entity, okay? We are not for profit, all right? So let's get back to our brother, student minister Kenneth Muhammad of Mosque 55's Prison Reform Ministry. Brother Kenneth, you still there, right?
Yes, sir, brother Shaheed. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Praise be to Allah. Once again, thank you, brother. Let's get some more into this. Now, you mentioned earlier about District Attorney Mulroy. The quote he made was kind of tongue-in-cheek, and the hard data, although presented to him, he, in words, kind of protested that certain cities and municipalities were not included in the numbers. Of course, even though if they were, they would not close that gap of the disparities that we see in terms of those numbers. Now, how receptive, in your estimation, has, and you've given us a peek at it, how receptive has his office, Steve Mulroy's office, been not only to the numbers, but how open are they to make the necessary adjustments that need to be made in your mind?
I would say he's almost split down the middle. Of course, he came in with the diversity, equity, and inclusion as one of his objectives, and he's achieved that. You see many more women, Black women in particular. You have those who are retiring, phasing out of the district attorney's office. That particular thing, I want to, if I may correct it, it wasn't District Attorney Mulroy who individually objected to those numbers at the Justice Innovation Lab. There was some of the district attorneys, ADAs, that work out of his office that couldn't believe it. Dealing with District Attorney Mulroy, he has come under fire, and we all know that. So his stance, he was very strong and stringent on coming up with restorative justice, diversion programs, trying to find a way not to criminalize certain behaviors that's basically legalized. That's simply, marijuana, simple possession things. Those things have taken a turn because his office is a political office, and if you're trying to win re-election, you have to cater to those who you feel can put you in that position.
Right.
And so one of the big things we were asking questions about, and again, you'll see all of these on the slides, what does it mean? What does safety mean to you? What does a thriving community means to you. How do you feel about gun violence? Have you been affected by gun violence, car theft, carjacking, and getting those narratives, not just the numbers, but getting those narratives. But the last time I heard him speak, these things didn't even come up. He didn't mention any diversion programs because for the most part, that is not a popular conversation, especially when the news using their bully pulpit to the first 15 minutes is just dealing with incidents that's going on in and around the city. And so those are the things he has softened his stance in. But again, we haven't got to the root problem of why some of these things are going on in our communities. And those are the questions. Being in the room, we took advantage of asking those hard questions. I asked those questions in New York. I asked those questions in Texas. I asked those questions in many meetings here in Shelby County. What is the effect? Have we done a study on when we first did the Get Tough on Crime move that I was familiar with because I got caught up in it in the early 90s when we would lock them up, throw away the key, everybody getting 40 years, 50 years, life without parole. And you know, men staying incarcerated 25, 30, 35 years, and then coming back out. And the number of men that left those communities, whether it was Orange Mound, whether it was North Memphis, South Memphis, or whatever, left those communities exposed. And so when drugs come in, when the youth who don't have used to have the police athletic league where you can go and do different things, boxing, field trips, those things close down. Community centers don't have the adequate resources or staffing to take young boys and young girls on field trips to get them outside of Memphis. You know how many young people that I met when I was going down to juvenile court volunteering my time that had never left outside of the city.
Yeah, that is a fact. I know that personally, brother.
So their mind hasn't been expanded. And so we have to think outside of the box. It is easy. It is low-hanging fruit to say, hey, this is 15 years old, but at 15, have your mind developed? According to sociologists, it hasn't, to even understand the full ramifications of your action. And now, Brother Shaheed, and again, we can talk about this, in depth. When you legalize marijuana, when you start selling gummies and start doing things, and we know that some of the THC level has been expounded from, it used to be 12, 13%, now it's 98, 99, over 100%. What is the effect on the developing brain?
Yeah, that's a fact.
Those are the things that, we're not going to really know the ramifications of some of these studies, because me personally, if you fought tooth and nail to make these things illegal for black people, you never wanted black people to have guns. You said that those pot smoking, afro wearing, dashiki wearing, we were known as Negroes back then, are the problem in America. This is Nixon and other presidents. Right. All of a sudden, they say, hey, you don't even.
Oh, we lost you, brother. We lost you.
Hey.
Okay, you back.
Okay. I said you can openly carry. We would be out in the streets and we would see young men walking around because they got permission now to carry a gun without any training,
Yes, sir.
And you legalize marijuana, and we don't understand the full ramifications. There's so many things that are going on in our community, and we can't just point the finger at young people and say what young people doing. Certainly, they're doing certain things, but again, did they create the darkness?
That's right.
That they dwell in? And we have to start getting to the root of some of these problems. And I want to say this, and it's not up to District Attorney Mulroy,
that's
the
right,
police, the politicians. These are things that we're going to have to do ourselves. And I know time is upon us, but there's a book that you and I, we would always talk about and promote when we were on the show called A Torchlight for America.
Right.
And it was written by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And in it, he is diagnosing some of the problems here in America and offering some real solutions. And there's also something in our national agenda. I don't know how easy it is to get that. It may be out of print, but this book, if you can get, entitled A Torchlight for America. And this was written in the early 90s.
93?
And it seems like it was written last week. And the solutions are still the same. We have to take the onus upon ourselves and our communities and get out there and deal with the problems that's going on. No one is going to do those things for us. We must do them for ourselves.
That is absolutely correct, brother. And that is the aim and purpose, really in truth, of this podcast, to inform and to inspire to action those who listen. And that's why I said earlier, brother, what can we do? And, and you're right, brother, the time is upon us. We stop in about 10 more minutes. We stop at 8:30 because that's about the limit that we can go. I think the limit is 2 hours on a podcast, per podcast on Podbean. But I always stop an hour and a half into it to give myself some leeway. But, brother, you're absolutely right, man. We'll have to begin to look at these root causes and address them ourselves, because whether they help us or not is really irrelevant. There's enough information and there's enough people of light, because they can turn the lights off. But the light we're referring to is knowledge. And each of us have to put our little torches together, so to speak, and illuminate the path for our young people out of this. And it's trench work. We can't do it from the pulpit, and this is why you see brothers and sisters listening. This is why you see us in the Nation of Islam out on the block, out in the street, doing the best and our debt level best with the few people resource we have to enlighten our people and to give our people alternative news and information that will bring about a change in thinking, not just from a religious perspective. It's not a religious pamphlet. It's a newspaper just like any other news organ, but it's news from the perspective of truth that's not driven by corporate media and doesn't depend on corporate dollars. So corporates and corporations cannot influence what we say and what we print. Okay. So, Brother Kenneth, as we get ready to land it, man, what can we do? What are some of the things we can do as a community? And before we get to that, I wanted to bring up this little quote that I saw on the display. And I thought about Brother Dennis, because I saw in the promotion, Brother Dennis, he was part of what was happening with you all. But listen at this quote, brother. It says, I think if we keep looking at these conversations from a perspective of how do we stop crime, that's where we blank up. I think it's more like, why is the crime even happening? And then asking those who are victims, what do you want to see? Because I think asking people, then he says, I think trying to understand the rationale of doing it is not as productive as trying to understand like how to move forward, how to prevent it in the first place. So I don't know why, brother, but when I read that, Brother Dennis came to my mind.
Yes, sir. And that's where we didn't wasn't talked about at the Civil Rights Museum, but it was discussed during the gathering of the data, restorative justice. How do you feel about it? If you remember back in South Africa, you had to go back and research that for those not familiar. Once the apartheid regime was over, they had a Truth and Reconciliation Council. Mm-hmm. And people had to get together and have some real difficult conversations.
That's right.
Because when you're talking about, well, hey, I don't want to know why you did it, where do we go from here? Those individuals will have to come to terms with that. Mm-hmm. There should be some atonement I don't think a person ought to commit wrong and get away with it. I don't think anybody feels that way, you know. But with given the opportunity to atone or presented with that opportunity and then making the choice to do it or not to do it, the individual that was harmed, you know, we don't understand when you carjack a person or rob a person, what it does to them, how it affects them mentally, not to feel safe just going out and getting in your car or going to work or being at work and coming out after working 8, 10, 12 hours and your car is gone or the window smashed because they was going in your vehicle looking for weapons or something to sell. Those things affect an individual mentally. So those things have to be addressed as well.
Of course.
And so those are the difficult conversations, Brother Minister Shaheed, that we need to have in our community.
Yes.
You know, how do you want to proceed forward? You know, how can we heal? And it deals with the deep rooted. I mean, we talked about epigenetics. We've had a lot of conversations on this great podcast that Allah's blessed you to have, brother. And we haven't fully dealt with that trauma. And again, we don't want to come off as victims, but you got to deal with things sometime in order to move past it.
Right.
And we have never adequately dealt with our pain. And in our communities, there's a lot of people that's dealing with pain, whether it's physical, of course, but there's mental, there's social, there's spiritual. And we have to address those things in order to move forward.
Exactly, brother. You are so right. And I have to echo what you just said or lift what you just said. I really, really take offense to people when we have these kinds of conversations as it relates to what we suffered as a people that has never been addressed. They want to characterize that as victim posturing, you know, but when other ethnic groups reference the pain that they've suffered, they are not charged with the same thing, particularly those who are Holocaust survivors. Their pain and their history, although they are perhaps the most upwardly mobile people in the world today, but they are not disrespected in that kind of way whereby they are accused of posturing as victims. But we are a people whose trauma has never been addressed. And I've done a little research of my own, brother, on the long-term effects of trauma and being captive and being colonized and oppressed the way we have. And their scientists will bear witness. One of the conditions that we suffer or that people can suffer, they call it psychological infantilism, whereby the person will take on the mentality of a child. And when you look at us, we're like children. We look to somebody else to fulfill all our needs. And I think it's interesting that the Bible calls us the children of Israel. So any problem we got in our community, we're always looking outside like a child looks to other adults to address problems that they have personally, as opposed to us going and doing an inward journey and looking at self. And that's why, brother, the curriculum of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan entitled Self-Improvement is the basis for community development is so valuable. And we do our best to make it available every Friday night at 873 Vance Avenue. If you're in the city of Memphis, you want to address these problems, spend some time on a Friday night at 7:30 p.m. at 873 Vance Avenue. If you're in Holly Springs and Marshall County, spend some time at 165 North Memphis Street on a Friday evening instead of going to the club or whatever. Come by and sit down and let's talk about what it takes to develop a community with regard to self. It's kind of like a mirror check, if you will. Well, Brother Kenneth, man, we're right on top of it, man. I hate that we, because, there's so much more, brother. We really have not scratched the surface, brothers and sisters, of the information and the data that's on these presentations. So, Brother Kenneth, man, I want to bring you back. I may have to do a part 2 next week if you are available, because I had planned to bring our brothers John C. Barnett and Attorney Walker. Brother Malik Zulu is out of the country. I was going to bring them on to give us an update on the Goon Squad and what's happening with that. That's another issue, and it deals with justice and mass incarceration, police misconduct, prosecutorial misconduct, and it is an ugly story. But, brother, I'm thinking I would probably, if you are available and if you are willing to accept it, either next week or the following week, or to give more information on this. What do you think, brother?
Brother, it'll be my pleasure. It'll be my pleasure.
Man, praise is due to Allah. And before we go, brother, anything, just any parting words, because I do have some more questions, but I know if I go into them, it's going to be another 15 minutes. But give us something to look forward to for the next time that you're on.
First, if you're in the Memphis area, go down to the Benjamin Hooks Library on Poplar Avenue and look at the exhibit. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. It was very well put together. People have put a lot of time and energy, especially the group that worked here in Shelby County and the people from the Vera Institute of Justice in New York who came down and did those things. As far as anything I want to add, brother, I'll wait till the next time I'm on. Sir. But I think if you look at the information and then internalize it and then ask yourself, is this the best that we can do?
Yes, sir.
And
Praise be.
Come up with an answer. And then let's start there. Is this the best that we can do?
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Brother Kenneth, man, thank you so much. And I really want to give you a round of applause and thank you, brother, for the words and the information you've shared. To our listening audience, brothers and sisters, the 10K Fearless Tri-State Podcast objective and mission vision is to simply accept the responsibility to build our communities and make them a safe and a decent place to live. And I think that is an honorable pursuit, and it is on us to make the changes that we want to see. Now, get some training, brothers and sisters, and get involved. We are willing to help, aid, and assist. Again, give us a call in Marshall County and Holly Springs at 662-252-8999. Give us an email for whatever your interests are. If you want to learn to come to learn self-improvement, learn more about how to get involved with the 10K Fearless Podcast and what we're striving to do, you can drop us a line at 10K Fearless, P.O. Box, Post Office Box 517, Holly Springs, Mississippi, 38635. Or you can drop me an email at dremuhammad1@gmail.com. That's DREMUHAMMAD, 1@gmail.com. Excuse me. And let me leave you with these words from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He says, quote, "No one can attempt to help our people do anything productive and constructive without feeling personal hurt, pain, loss, being evil spoken of, falsely accused, sometimes beaten, sent to prison, or even put to death. This is the path of Jesus. This is the path of Muhammad. This is the path of every sincere person who wants to see his or her people delivered from our present condition," end quote. And brothers and sisters, as we get ready to part away from this podcast, let me thank all of you for tuning in. And come and visit us this Sunday at 165 North Memphis Street at 10 o'clock a.m. for our Sunday lecture. Yours truly will be delivering a message for you. If you're in the Memphis and Shelby County area, make sure you go by 873 Vance Avenue at Muhammad Mosque, number 55. Same time, doors open at 9 or 9:30. And our student minister, Abdul Muthakir Muhammad. I think brother student minister Ilya Rashad is on deck. I'm really not sure, but go by 873 Vance Avenue this Sunday at 10 o'clock. Or if you're in Holly Springs, come by 165 North Memphis Street. Brothers and sisters, always remember, self-improvement is the basis for community development. And we leave you tonight as we came before you with the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
This is it, 10K Fearless on the low. This is it, sip.
Gotta make a move and take control. Have something we can call our own. So shine your light, help the people see that now is the time for us to be free. And if you waiting on the pie in the sky, you better wake up fast. They told you a fly, cause big fields await the wide awake man. Elijah's got the message.
10,000 fearless on the move. 10K fearless. Mississippi. 10K fearless on the move. Mississippi. Sip. Injustice we've had enough. All of our divisions we're breaking up. Destiny has been calling us. The spirit of the Most High is guiding us.
See, the time is now. What you waiting on? Quit shooting your brothers. Put your gun down. Come on. They got a cage waiting for you if you keep that up. Early graves coming to you. From that, can't raise you up. Now, Sister Ida B and Fannie Lou, check them out and you'll know what to do. But if you really want your enemy to be alarmed, read the final call. Follow Farrakhan.
10,000 fearless on the move. 10K fearless. Mississippi. 10K fearless on the move. Mississippi. Sip. 10K fearless on the move. 10K fearless on the move. 10K fearless on the move. In Mississippi, Mississippi. 10,000 fearless on the move.